everyone, welcome to Tea With Me. I'm Michelle K.
I'm Michelle C. That rhymes. I like it.
And in our first episode, we're going to be looking at feminism and if it has gone too far and gotten too toxic. So
here we go.
We go. I myself do not identify as a feminist in any way, shape or form. How about yourself?
Gosh, no.
No,
absolutely
definitely not.
No.
And I think that speaks volumes as to how toxic it's gotten.
Yeah, I think it's been toxic for certainly all of my lifetime, really.
Yeah,
but
I would say at least 20 years.
Yeah, it's gone from strength to strength, but I don't look at it as a strength, but from a feminist point of view, it's gone.
Strength for women, but knocking men down.
Knocking men down, but
Massively.
also I think we're witnessing our own downfall.
Oh, God, yeah.
Because now, like years ago, the woman could stay at home and raise the children and that would be her main focus and keep the house, whereas now we have to go out to work.
Yeah.
And we have to do everything else as well.
Absolutely.
So, we've made a rod for our own back.
Yeah, I heard someone say once that feminism has basically given the tax man
Oh, absolutely.
even more money.
Well, yeah, I did hear, I can't say that it was a trusted source, but somebody told me that it was the Rockefellers that funded Women's Lib.
It wouldn't surprise me.
And that's, if you look at it, because it's forced children into education, so indoctrination can happen.
Yeah.
And we're forced out to work, so that is more tax.
Absolutely.
For the tax man.
Absolutely.
And I think it just breaks up a family.
Mm-hmm.
Men are now disposable. Let's just replace them with the state, you know?
Both parents are disposable in a way because the children are being raised by the state in the education system.
Yeah.
Both parents are out at work 9 to 5 in a lot of cases.
We give up our authority.
Yeah.
And certainly my children fear what the teacher thinks over what I think.
Do you know, that's my biggest fear. That is my biggest fear. And that's why it was important to me to get Lila into a school with a good ethos.
Yes.
You
So
still don't know
No.
necessarily what they're saying, but yeah.
They're less governed, I think, though, by curriculum and stuff, aren't
yes,
they? So
they are,
can be a bit more flexible, which is good.
They can. Yeah. But, we're actually the same age.
Yep. Same name, same age.
Same age, same name. Both have daughters. Well,
Yeah.
I only have one.
I got 2.
She's got 2. And both had the same kind of dog until mine sadly went as well. So we're kind of like twins.
Yes.
But
just a few months apart.
The fact that we were both born in the 80s, had our formative years in the 90s, I think the 90s was very big on the girl power.
Oh gosh, Spice Girls.
Spice Girls.
Was
it was all
huge,
being pushed, the promiscuity thing.
Oh, yes.
Yeah, it's a good thing for you to be on birth control and to be as promiscuous as possible.
Yeah.
And I think that has really negatively impacted women.
Oh gosh, yeah. Absolutely. And I look at stuff and I cringe now with what my children like to watch. Even from a young age, even on Disney, some of it's so
woke.
Yeah, provocative. You know, it's just I'm forever saying, turn that off, turn that off, turn that off.
Yeah, I am a bit like a hawk with what Lila watches, but yeah, we don't pay the TV license fee.
No, I don't either.
So we don't have any live TV.
Yeah, I don't. No terrestrial telly. It's literally just Netflix, Amazon, YouTube, Soundloop. Some of it.
I don't even have Disney now, but
yeah. I love YouTube as a platform, but you can't put as many controls on what they watch because even stuff that isn't given an age restriction. But I suppose it's the same for terrestrial telly. But I steer away from that.
Yeah,
but
the age restriction on YouTube, it would have to be really bad to get an age restriction because you can get away with bad language and stuff without having an age restriction.
Yeah,
which as a content creator helps.
Yes,
because you can reach more people because the people who are watching your video don't need to be signed in.
Yeah,
that's the thing with the age restriction is everyone has to be signed in then.
Yes, yeah.
So we've been having a look at Reddit.
Yes.
That cesspool of a site. And there's a subreddit called Feminism. So you can just imagine the kind of calibre of people that are in there.
Yes.
And we came across this one post which is quite funny. So we're just going to read it out to you. It's called Am I Being Dramatic? One of my guy friends used the word female in a text today, and I pointed out that I would rather him not use that term, at least when he's talking to me. So obviously this guy has then asked for an explanation, which I would imagine most people would. It'd be like, why don't you want me to use the word female when talking about you, a female? Or to you, a female. And she said, it's because it makes her and many other women feel like less than human, and is typically used to imply inferiority or contempt.
I
don't understand that. Female is a biological term. Yeah. So I don't really get... I mean, I don't know what it must be like in these people's heads.
I've got no idea. It's mind-boggling to me. Female is... She's almost saying that that's a derogatory word.
That's what the implication is.
And it's... How can that...
Yeah.
You know? But I think it boils down a lot as well, again, to this victim mentality.
Oh, yeah.
Because as women, we are such victims.
Poor little us.
We're
so oppressed.
We are very oppressed.
That's why they have
patriarchs,
women-only shortlists for jobs.
Yeah.
And you're more likely to get promoted if you're a woman, particularly a woman of colour.
Yeah.
The woman always gets the children 9 times out of 10 in a divorce settlement.
And all the money. Well, I mean, we've got it hard, haven't we?
Poor us. We were just saying, actually, before we started, that I just can't imagine what it would be like to be a man in this day and age.
Yeah, awful.
It must be terrible.
It must be.
And I really feel for men.
Because they're not allowed to talk about their emotions.
No. But
I mean, that's always been the way, I think. And I think actually, in a way, we are trying to come away from that. But what man's going to want to in this society?
Well, I find that a lot of these feminists, like as they call themselves, they say that they want men to show emotion, but then they belittle men that do show emotion.
I know.
Like if you ever see Jordan Peterson get upset when he's talking
about...
I
love that man.
So do I.
Love him.
When he's talking about helping men,
yeah,
like young men who have no direction, and the fact that he gets so upset, doesn't he, when he talks about these poor lads, and then he gets mocked for showing emotion, and it's like, well, which way do you want it? Do you want men to be emotional? I don't. No, but they say they do.
But I think, as women, we're ruled by our emotions, and this
very
is
much so.
One of my biggest loathes about feminism is the fact that we no longer celebrate each gender. Men aren't celebrated for being men, and women aren't celebrated for being women. We're ignoring nature, we're ignoring our biology, and it's just become so destructive. It really has.
Well, I think it's rooted in communism. Yeah. Personally, that especially this new modern feminism. So the destruction of the nuclear family seems to be one of their objectives.
Yeah. Well done, they're succeeding.
Yeah, the single mother rate is through the roof.
Yeah.
In the Western world, and why?
Well, this is it.
Why do they want that?
We don't, we don't ever, because we've got girl power, so we don't ever actually pick it apart and analyse what's going wrong, But I don't suppose they're going to.
We're women.
Oh, yes.
We can't be wrong.
Can't be wrong. So.
But that's why they hate Jordan Peterson and Andrew Tate and Kevin Samuels, because they were pushing men to be masculine.
Yeah. But no, that's toxic, isn't it, apparently?
Everything's fucking toxic.
But no, I mean, let's consider what is toxic masculinity, I think the only toxic masculinity really is the backlash from feminism, which is the Sigma male, which is, that's not men typically. Men don't want to be Sigma. It's a reaction, I think.
Well, every action has a reaction.
Absolutely.
And when you've got women screaming that men are all rapists and misogynists and all that, you're going to get a reaction, and the reaction is you get these larger than life characters come out, you know, and it's basically the complete opposite to what is being preached.
Yeah, but it's that victim mentality. I just can't. We all seem to. It's driven now.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
Where you're a victim. You're a victim.
There's a hierarchy, isn't there? A victim hierarchy, and that's the other thing with modern day feminism is it's not about women anymore.
No, of course it isn't. I don't think it ever was.
No, well, no,
with you,
no.
You know? It was about lining some pockets and creating further divide. You know, we are so divided across races,
political lines, gender lines,
all of it now.
Yeah,
it's ridiculous.
Incredible.
We
incredible.
don't. But there's no community. There's just
no. But that's the modern world, isn't it?
Yeah.
There's no community. I mean, I'm pretty good here because we're in military housing, so the other families along our little way are all military as well. So we do have a little bit of a community there.
Yeah.
But yeah, for your everyday person,
no,
living in a town or a city.
I've lived in my house now for 18 months, and I think I've spoken to my neighbour a handful of times, and it's never been an in-depth conversation.
Yeah, it's just
hi, how are you? You know, in passing, so it's polite and it's civilised, but never.
Yeah. Well, back in the day, in like the 30s, 40s, whatever, the women would be at home.
Yeah.
And you would live on the same street as your parents or around the corner.
Yeah.
You know, people don't like. I'm 6.5 hours away from my family.
Yeah.
Down here, people move.
Yeah, they do. They do.
And they reckon that most people only stay in a job 5 years now before moving on to
really?
another job. Yeah, so you don't even get that anymore. That whole blue collar, in it for life, get your gold watch, retirement.
Gosh,
that doesn't happen anymore.
Doesn't exist.
Yeah.
But I suppose there's no, because we are struggling, and I think all of these isms really, it comes down to class in a way, and I don't want to say class, but
class is a big factor.
Means,
though.
perhaps.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
We are all driven by our means, and we're always striving to be that much better because we have to survive. Mm-hmm. You know.
Well, that's the other thing with the this whole cost of living thing.
Yeah.
Is it's the middle classes that are going to suffer the most.
Yeah.
That's what they say anyway. Obviously, poor people.
Well, that makes sense because poor people are kind of helped out.
They get helped out by the government. If you're on that middle level, you don't get any help.
No.
At all.
No, and of course, because you're not at the higher level, you can't afford to not have the help. So it's going to hit harder.
It does. It does. Yeah.
Wow. Sad.
Mm. But I really do feel for the youth of today because...
Oh, gosh.
Well, I feel for them and I don't. I feel for them in terms of because they're being indoctrinated and brainwashed to think that all men are bad and the poor lads are being told they don't matter. Yeah. And that's no way to live.
No, absolutely. And if you look
what
at
hope have they got?
The male suicide rate has just grown exponentially over, you know, and it's these things that are just sort of, let's sweep that under the rug. We don't need to talk about that because it's men and men don't matter, you know? But I mean, from a biological point of view, you could say, okay, well, one man could keep the population going quite well by spreading his seed, whereas you need more than one woman.
Yes.
But until we're endangered, you know, that's not relevant.
No.
So,
but if you listen to Elon Musk, he thinks we need to populate more. So there's obviously the climate people are saying that we're overpopulated, but in the Western world, certainly the birth rate is very low.
Oh, okay.
By population. In fact, I think in here in the UK, we're not having enough children to replace the population that is already here. So our population, native, white British, is on a decline.
Okay.
But then we also have this mass migration thing going on as well.
Yes.
So it's like, are the powers that be just trying to replace the native population with an immigrant population? I don't know, because generally speaking, immigrants are going to have more babies.
Yeah.
They do. They have larger families. You know, I only have the one, you have the two.
And I'm done.
They'll have 6. 6 or 7 kids.
Yeah.
You know, but
Wow.
yeah. So, but that's a whole other issue.
Yeah. But I mean,
But
the
the
thought
amount
of having that many children and
yeah.
still having to go out to work to make ends meet, just
Well, the women don't, do they? In those families, so they all live together.
no. But I think actually they, in our Western culture, if feminism is more toxic.
Yeah.
You know, so there is no celebration of men. There is no celebration of women.
The stay-at-home mum is looked down on.
Yeah,
Because she's not a girl boss.
Yeah. I made the mistake once, years ago, when I just had the one and she was young, and somebody asked me what I did for a living. And I said, I'm just a full-time mum. And they said, never say just.
Yeah, don't say that.
Because it's a huge job, and I think we forget that. And actually, we recently read the same book, the Betty
Body book, yeah.
And in there, she actually says it takes a village to raise a child. And I thought, you know what? Actually, if we went back in time
to real community,
and the women would all team together, the men would go out hunting together, you know, and men were men and women were women, and it must have been gorgeous.
Yeah,
If they have time,
it would have been a
travel,
hard life.
That's
for
sure. I'm not saying it would have
But-
been easy, but
you had each other.
yeah.
And
Roles were understood. I think there's too much confusion now because men don't know what they're supposed to be doing. Women don't know what they're supposed to be doing. We're all just fighting each other, trying to figure it out.
Yeah.
And it's breaking down society.
Yeah. Well, it even goes so far as like exercise and diet culture.
Oh, yeah.
Exercise and diet for women is massively different than it is for men. But generally speaking, if you go to the gym and you get a gym program, it's not going to be taking hormonal fluctuations into account.
No, it won't.
Because this is something that I've only just recently
Yeah.
learned, and I'm a qualified personal trainer. Not once in all my training did they touch on the differences between men and women, because it just wasn't a thing.
No.
You know?
No, because we have to ignore that biology.
Yeah, because we're just smaller men, so we can just...
We're not men!
We can do what they do at every point during the month. It doesn't matter.
But the thing is, that's really frustrated me over the years, I think, is it's selective. We're women when we want to be women, and we can be a victim.
Yeah.
Yeah, if we want to do something, no, we're just smaller men and we can do it, and we're just the same as men, and there's no difference.
Need no man.
And it's...
Yeah, it's infuriating.
It really is. It's like, let's just be consistent at least.
Yes.
But we're not.
No, there is no consistency.
No.
There is none.
Because we're all strong and all powerful, and then we're all victim.
And that's because these predominantly women that call themselves modern day feminists don't want to admit that we have, what do you call it?
Penis envy.
No. You know, as women, we have, oh my God, I can't think of the word.
I can't
think of it. Like, we get preferential treatment for things.
Oh, right, okay, so privilege?
Privilege, that's the word. We have privilege as women. And but they all want to bleat about male privilege. And it's like, in this day and age, men don't have any privilege that I can see.
No. And even years ago, you know, when they're trying to go back to voting and stuff, and they were saying that men had all the privilege, it was actually more class. Because women who were landowners could vote.
Yeah, that was it. You had to be a landowner.
It wasn't a gender thing.
No, it wasn't.
It was a class thing.
It was a class thing. Yeah.
But we're not taught that, are we?
No, I know. And I think in America...
That's all erased from history.
I think in America, you had to be on the draft to vote.
Okay.
Which obviously didn't include women, because women aren't on the draft.
No.
Because women don't go to war.
No.
Not like men do.
Yeah.
So that was a whole thing as well.
Yeah.
And it's like... Because I heard there was like a panel talking about it, and this girl said, if I had to choose between voting and being on the draft, I would lose my vote.
Yeah.
I would give it up so that I didn't have to go to war.
Yeah. But we have that privilege. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So oppressed and driven to not vote. or go to, these men didn't have a choice.
Yeah. And actually, seeing how women vote, majority of women vote, like extreme left.
Oh, God. Yeah.
We're
ruled by our emotions, and actually...
and that's what gets them, because the left are very big on manipulating emotions. Yeah. Getting a reaction.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, let's have more of that in society. No, thank you.
Yeah, no thanks.
No.
And that's the other thing, is like overly emotional men who haven't learnt to control it, as men should, because we all have emotions, but
I think we all need to learn to control our emotions. We do all need sometimes.
But with men, with their like high testosterone naturally, means that it can be very volatile if they give in to their emotions. And I think that's more dangerous than a hyper-masculine man.
Yeah.
A very sensitive man is more dangerous.
But this is where society, like certainly through the generations, will feel it more and more, because young boys now are being raised by single women,
and then
they are not
taught
having
by women teachers.
And
there's no male.
When I was at school, my favourite teachers were the male ones.
Yeah, same.
Actually, and that's not because I'm anti-feminism.
No, but they were the best teachers.
They just were. They were so good because they knew how to keep us engaged. Yeah. And keep order. Yeah.
That's it. Because there is a respect.
Yeah.
And I think it is just a natural thing that men command respect more than women.
Certainly did then, but I think that's phasing out a bit now, and it's sad, and it needs to come back. It really does.
Yeah. But I mean, at its basic level, men are the providers and the protectors.
No, but we're now, most women are, I can provide for myself, I can protect myself.
No.
And then when that doesn't work, she'll turn to the nearest man and say, why didn't you provide for me, and why didn't you protect me? Hello?
I know, there was a story, it happened in New York on a subway train, I think, or it might have been an overground train. Either way, it was a train. And this woman was attacked and raped on the train, and no one helped her. None of the men in the carriage or the women, no one helped her. Some people filmed it. No one helped her. And then she was obviously crying out, like, why didn't anyone help me? Yeah. And it's like, in this day and age, men don't want to help.
No. And I don't blame them,
I don't blame them, but in that situation, I would like to think that my husband would have stepped in and stopped him.
Yeah, absolutely. And certainly the men in my life would have.
Yes, absolutely. But that's the difference between
But as a woman, I would have rushed to her aid.
Well, same.
I wouldn't be able to witness something.
Could you imagine pulling your phone out?
But this,
and recording that?
Let's just film this and upload it.
Yeah, honestly, modern culture sucks.
What? That's an actual person with feet, and that's a trauma.
But that's detached. We're detached from each other. Yeah. With all the social media, we're less social than ever.
I know. Ironic. Let's call it anti-social media.
Anti-social media, yeah. But it honestly, it astounds me. Like modern culture.
It does me. I can't get my head around that. Who could witness?
Yeah.
I'd never ever be able to just sit by as somebody is attacked right in front of me.
Yeah. I don't know. Maybe it says something about people that live in these big cities, and because there is definitely no community.
But it's fear as well. A lot of it's fear-based. And we're all...
You don't know what kind of weapons they have and all that stuff, so that does come into it.
Well, I suppose, yeah. But who could be that blatant as well, the perpetrator, to do it in such a public...
Because they know that no one's going to help? Or they suspect that no one's going to help? Or maybe they had a mental health thing where they literally didn't care?
They've definitely...
Well, obviously, yeah.
Yeah.
If you can do that, you've definitely got issues. But
that's awful.
Yeah, it is awful. But that's not all men.
No. No, but this is, we brandish... And actually, I think some men are made out to be... It's like Barack Obama's thing that he did when he was president. You must believe a woman.
Believe all women.
Believe all women.
That's part of the Me Too, wasn't it?
And I just...
You can't believe all women because some women lie.
Yes. Everybody
And
is
we know
capable
that.
of lying.
We know that.
And I think, there should always be evidence to back up
Exactly.
a crime.
You wouldn't get false allegations if people only spoke the truth.
Yeah, and I mean, you look at Train Spotting, when he goes to the nightclub and he hooks up with that 14-year-old girl.
Because she's in a nightclub.
Because
which
she's
is
in a
over
nightclub.
18.
Yes, so you assume.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then he wakes up to her the next morning and she bribes him, doesn't she, I think?
She's got a school uniform
and
on,
she has a school... And he's a victim.
Well, he is, yeah.
But
legally...
she could say, we've had sex, and she's the victim.
Put in jail. Yeah.
Are men supposed to ID girls, like women, before?
I know how predatory young girls are because
I've seen them. And you do see young girls of about 13, 14 getting made up.
Yeah.
They do not look 13, 14.
And they purposefully go after older guys.
Yeah.
Because boys their age are annoying and immature.
And if you must believe all women, when she tells you she is of age, you must believe her.
You must believe her.
So, it's just crazy, insane.
It is. But yeah, I remember being like 14 and going after these like guys who were older.
Yeah.
Who were adults, really.
And we were encouraged to do that.
We were. Because they're like, girls mature faster than boys. You don't want to date someone your own age.
I know, right?
Yeah.
Actually, I'm 13 and shouldn't really be dating at all.
No, don't. This is the other thing about having daughters. It terrifies me. I don't want her to be like I was.
No.
But then I think, like, we're going to raise them in a way that they shouldn't be like we were because we were raised in
But so is social media.
Yeah.
And you can't, I thought about even sex education at school, and you are, as a parent, given the option to say no. Mm-hmm. So what happens then? You say no, and then they are completely ostracised.
Put in a classroom on their own while all the rest are in the
and then they'll
ed,
get bullied. And you have to choose as a parent. Do I want my child to be taught things that I could potentially just counteract, by explaining the sanctity of these acts that are just discussed quite openly at the age of 11. Yeah. It's insane.
Well, there's a reason that when we were young, it was almost like a race to get rid of your virginity.
It's insane.
And that's fact.
Yeah.
I was like, I want to be the first one in my group to lose their virginity.
Yeah.
It's like there was no sanctity.
No.
There was nothing put on how precious it is.
No.
And how important it is to not just give it away.
Yeah.
To a guy who's going to dump you a week later.
Yeah. Yeah. But, boys are also told to just spread their seed well,
They are.
And I don't think either gender should be promiscuous.
No, but I understand more the men side of it. Men being promiscuous. Or not really promiscuous, but putting it about a bit. Because there are skills involved.
Ah, yes.
That men need to learn.
Yeah, but you could do that with that one special person.
You can.
And because everyone's spots are different, if you like.
Yeah.
You need to relearn it every time you get with a new person, I think, anyway. Not all of it. I mean,
you don't always
generic,
mesh,
but yeah.
It's not a natural thing sometimes.
And it should be more about chemistry.
Yeah.
And actually, without chemistry, it's pointless.
Yeah.
Absolutely pointless.
Yeah.
Sooner have a cup of tea and discuss feminism.
Yeah. Much better to have a cup of tea than have sex with someone you don't have chemistry with.
Exactly. Dearie me.
I know. Was there anything else you wanted to
touch
on?
Yeah, I think we can always come back to it at a later date and
I'm sure we will.
Do a part 2
I'm sure we will.
Of feminism. But yeah, I think for today we've made some good points, but yeah.
Yeah. Well,
if there's anything we've missed, feel free to add it in the comments and we'll have a look at it.
Yeah, and if there's any topics that you want us to cover in later episodes, then drop that below as well. And make sure you subscribe and like and share if you want to. but not to any crazy leftists that are going to come after us.
Oh gosh, yes, no.
But thank you very much for joining us today for our first episode.
We've
Cheers.
been Michelle.
I've drunk
tea with me. Oh, you're empty.
See you soon.
Okay.